The aftermath of Sarah's perfect score created ripple effects that no one had anticipated. Within hours of her achievement, the arena was flooded with military strategists, weapons designers, and government representatives from every major galactic civilization. The impossible had happened, and everyone wanted to understand how Sarah found herself in the unusual position of being the galaxy's most sought-after individual. Interview requests poured in from news organizations spanning thousands of worlds. Military academies offered teaching positions with salaries that exceeded Earth's entire defense budget. Research institutions wanted to study her techniques, her reflexes, even her genetic structure too. Understand how a primitive human had achieved something that advanced alien civilizations considered impossible, but it was Emperor Zalthek's reaction that surprised everyone the most. True to his word, the Emperor had immediately issued a formal apology to the human delegation and announced Earth's acceptance into both the Galactic Council and the Military Alliance. However, he went far beyond his original promises. Within hours of Sarah's performance, Veltari engineers were preparing technical specifications for defensive technologies that could protect Earth from any conceivable threat in the galaxy. "I have ruled for 3 centuries," Zalthek told the assembled delegation in his private chambers that evening. "And in all that time, I have never been so thoroughly educated about my own assumptions. Your Lieutenant Chun has demonstrated something that challenges our fundamental understanding of skill versus technology." Ambassador Morrison, still somewhat stunned by the day's events, struggled to find appropriate diplomatic language. "Your Majesty's generosity exceeds even your promises. Earth is honored by your recognition of our potential." "Potential?" The Emperor's laugh was different now, not mocking, but genuinely amused. "Ambassador, I fear you underestimate what your species has just proven. Lieutenant Chen did not merely break our records. She achieved perfection using principles that we have forgotten." Sarah, cleaned up and back in her dress uniform, sat quietly as the discussion swirled around her. The magnitude of what had happened was still sinking in. She had expected to either succeed or fail spectacularly. She had not expected to accidentally demonstrate that human approaches to marksmanship were fundamentally superior to galactic standards. Dr. Wong leaned forward with scientific curiosity. "Your Majesty, if I may ask, what exactly has this demonstration revealed that so surprises the galactic community?" Emperor Zalthek gestured toward a holographic display that materialized in the center of the room. It showed Sarah's performance analyzed in minute detail, her breathing patterns, reaction times, aim adjustments, and firing sequences. "For millennia, our civilizations have focused on improving technology to enhance performance. Better targeting computers, more sophisticated predictive algorithms, automated correction systems. We assumed that because our technology was superior, our capabilities were superior." The display shifted to show Champion Morgoth's shooting pattern alongside Sarah's. The difference was striking. Where the champion's shots followed predictable computer-calculated paths, Sarah's showed organic adaptations that no algorithm could replicate. "Lieutenant Chun demonstrated something our scientists had theorized was impossible," Zalthek continued. "She adapted in real time to variables that our computers cannot even measure. She read environmental conditions through senses we don't fully understand. Most importantly, she achieved this through what you humans call intuition, a concept our technology-dependent civilizations have largely abandoned." Sarah finally spoke up. "Your Majesty, with respect, it's not that humans are better marksmen than other species. It's just that we've maintained certain fundamental skills alongside our technological development. The basics matter." "The basics?" Zalthek repeated thoughtfully. "Yes, we have become so advanced that we forgot the foundation upon which advancement should be built." Over the following days, the implications of Sarah's achievement continued to unfold. Military academies across the galaxy began requesting human instructors to teach primitive marksmanship techniques. The Garanthi Empire, initially humiliated by the loss of their long-held record, offered massive contracts for human military advisors. Even the proud luminari, beings of pure energy who had considered physical skills beneath them, sent diplomatic inquiries about human training methods, but perhaps the most significant change was in how other species viewed humanity itself. The condescending attitudes that had characterized most alien interactions with humans began to shift toward genuine respect. Species that had barely acknowledged Earth's existence were now eager to establish trade relationships and military partnerships. Sarah found herself appointed as Earth's first galactic military liaison, a position created specifically to help integrate human tactical knowledge into galactic defense strategies. It was a role she had never imagined, but one that felt like a natural extension of everything she had worked toward 3 months after her record-breaking performance. Sarah stood on the observation deck of the newest addition to the Galactic Defense Fleet, a human-designed vessel that incorporated both advanced alien technology and human tactical principles. The ship was a hybrid creation that would have been impossible without the respect her achievement had earned for humanity. Dr. Wong joined her at the viewport, both watching the construction of Earth's first orbital defense platform using Veltari technology. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you'd missed just a few more shots that day? Sarah smiled. I think about what would have happened if I'd never taken that shot at all. Sometimes the biggest risk is not taking any risk. The Emperor wants to see you again before you return to Earth, Dr. Wong mentioned. Something about a new proposal. When Sarah met with Emperor Zolthek later that day, she found him studying holographic displays of various galactic conflicts. His expression was serious, lacking the earlier amusement or even respect she'd grown accustomed to. Lieutenant Chun, he began formally, your demonstration has had consequences beyond what either of us anticipated. Other civilizations have begun requesting human military advisors. Some have even proposed joint training programs to incorporate human techniques into their own forces. Sarah nodded. Earth is honored by the interest, Your Majesty. We're eager to contribute to galactic peace and security. Peace and security, yes. But there is something else. The Emperor manipulated the display to show a star map highlighting the galaxy's outer rim. We face threats that even our advanced civilizations struggle to address. Enemies who use tactics we cannot predict, who adapt to our technological advantages faster than we can develop countermeasures. The display zoomed in on areas marked in red regions where galactic forces had suffered unexpected defeats despite overwhelming technological superiority. Your species approached this balance of technology and fundamental skill. This ability to adapt and improvise may be exactly what we need. I'm proposing something unprecedented, a joint command structure that would integrate human tactical leadership with galactic military resources. Sarah felt the weight of his words. This went far beyond anything Earth had dared hope for when they first made contact with galactic civilization. Your Majesty, I'm honored by the suggestion. But that level of responsibility would require careful consideration by Earth's leadership. Of course. But consider this, your achievement was not just personal. It demonstrated that humanity has maintained something most advanced civilizations have lost, the ability to excel without complete dependence on technology. In a galaxy where our enemies adapt faster than our computers can calculate, that ability may determine the survival of all civilized species. As Sarah returned to Earth to present this unprecedented opportunity to her government, she reflected on how much had changed since that first day in Emperor Zolthek's palace. She had gone to prove that humans deserved respect. Instead, she had proven that humanity might be essential to the galaxy's survival. The journey from dismissed primitive to indispensable ally had taken just one perfect shot at a time. But as Sarah had learned long ago from her grandfather's lessons in Montana, the most important shots were often the ones you took when everyone expected you to miss. 6 months later, the first integrated human-alien military unit was deployed to the galaxy's frontier regions. Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Chun, now the highest-ranking human in galactic military history, stood on the bridge of the flagship as her mixed-species crew prepared for their first joint operation. The enemy forces they faced were indeed adaptive. using unconventional tactics that had baffled galactic strategists for decades. But they had not faced anything quite like the combination of human intuition and alien technology working in perfect harmony. As the battle commenced, Sarah watched her crew Veltari, Garanthi, Krexi, and human personnel working together with an efficiency that had seemed impossible just months before. The enemy's adaptive strategies met their match in human flexibility. Combined with galactic firepower, when the engagement ended in decisive victory, Sarah received a communication from Emperor Zolthek himself. "It appears, Colonel Chun, that your species has many more lessons to teach us. The galaxy is fortunate that you chose to prove your worth rather than—" Lieutenant Sarah Chun had seen many strange things during her 3 years aboard the intergalactic diplomatic vessel Harmony, but nothing quite prepared her for the sight of Emperor Zolthek's palace. The massive crystalline structure stretched impossibly high into the purple sky of Veltar Prime, its surface shimmering with patterns that hurt her human eyes to follow for too long. Standing beside Ambassador Morrison in the Grand Reception Hall, Sarah tried to maintain her military composure despite the overwhelming presence of the alien emperor. Zolthek was enormous even by his species' standards, standing nearly 12 feet tall with 4 muscular arms and skin that shifted between deep blue and silver depending on the light. His eyes, large and multifaceted like a dragonfly's, fixed upon the human delegation with what Sarah assumed was curiosity. "Your Majesty," Ambassador Morrison began with a deep bow, "we are honored by your invitation to participate in the Galactic Unity Games. Humanity wishes to demonstrate our commitment to peaceful cooperation among all species." The Emperor's translator device crackled to life, converting his deep, resonant voice into accented English. Yes, very good. "Your species is ... young, enthusiastic. We appreciate this quality, even if it often leads to overconfidence." Sarah felt her jaw tighten at the condescending tone, but she maintained her professional demeanor. The Unity Games were crucial for establishing Earth's position in the galactic community. Failure here could mean isolation for generations. "We have prepared accommodations for your delegation," Zolthek continued, gesturing with 2 of his arms toward a section of the hall. "The games begin in 3 cycles. Your people may observe the training facilities to better understand the scope of competition you face." As they were led through corridors lined with trophies and weapons from across the galaxy, Sarah couldn't help but notice the casual dismissal in every alien's posture. The Veltari guards towered over the humans, their movements fluid and powerful. Other species present, the insectoid Krexi, the energy-based Luminari, the heavily armored Garanthi, all regarded the human delegation with barely concealed amusement. Their quarters were luxurious, but clearly designed for observation rather than privacy. Sarah suspected every conversation would be monitored. That evening, as the delegation reviewed their strategy, she found herself staring out at the training complex visible through their window. "The firing range," she murmured, watching alien competitors practice with weapons that discharged bolts of pure energy. "What was that, Lieutenant?" Ambassador Morrison asked, looking up from his datapad. "The marksmanship competition, sir. I've been studying the records. No human has ever been allowed to participate in the precision shooting events. They claim it's for our own safety." Dr. Patricia Wong, the mission's xenobiologist, snorted softly. "More like they don't want to be embarrassed by a primitive species. I've seen their equipment specifications. Advanced, yes, but their techniques are overly reliant on technology." Sarah had been thinking the same thing. She'd spent years perfecting her marksmanship skills, starting with her grandfather's old hunting rifle back in Montana and progressing through every advanced weapon system the Earth Defense Force had developed. There was something to be said for the fundamentals that no amount of alien technology could replace. The next morning brought their first official tour of the training facilities. Emperor Zolthek himself led the group, clearly taking pleasure in showing off the superiority of galactic civilization. They visited the zero-gravity combat arena, the psionic enhancement chambers, and finally, the precision firing range. The range was a marvel of technology. Targets materialized as hard-like constructs at distances measured in kilometers. The weapons available ranged from simple energy pistols to massive cannon-like devices that required mechanical assistance to operate. Competitors from various species were practicing, their shots tracked by sophisticated sensors that provided real-time analysis of accuracy, power, and efficiency. "This is where we separate the true warriors from the merely ambitious," Zoltek announced, his translator giving his words a booming quality. The current galactic record stands at 97% accuracy over 1,000 shots at maximum range. Held by Champion Morgoth of the Garanthi Empire for the past 57 years, Sarah studied the massive, turtle-like alien currently practicing. Morgoth's shots were devastating, each energy bolt capable of vaporizing a small building. But watching his technique, she noticed the same reliance on automated targeting systems she'd observed in the others. "Impressive," Ambassador Morrison said diplomatically. "I don't suppose any of my team could observe more closely?" "For educational purposes, of course." Zoltek's laugh was like grinding metal. "Observe? By all means. Your species has much to learn about true precision. Perhaps one day, when you have evolved beyond throwing rocks and sharp sticks, you might even participate." The insult was delivered with such casual certainty that it took Sarah a moment to process it fully. Around them, other alien competitors had stopped their practice to listen, and she could see the amusement in their alien features. This wasn't just dismissal, it was mockery. "Your Majesty," she found herself saying before she could stop herself, "might I request permission to examine the range more closely? To better understand the techniques being employed?" The Emperor's multifaceted eyes focused on her with renewed interest. "You are the military one, yes? The ... soldier? How quaint. Yes, by all means, examine away. Perhaps you can learn something to take back to your little world." As they moved closer to the firing line, Sarah paid careful attention to every detail. The energy weapons were sophisticated, but they operated on principles not entirely foreign to human understanding. The targeting systems were indeed advanced, using a combination of predictive algorithms and automated adjustment that compensated for environmental factors, but there was something missing. The aliens had become so dependent on their technology that they'd forgotten the most basic principle of marksmanship, the human element. Every shot was calculated, predicted, and executed by machine. There was no intuition, no adaptation, no real skill beyond the ability to aim in a general direction and let the computer do the rest. "Fascinating," she murmured, earning another condescending look from a nearby Krexy competitor. "You find our technology interesting, little human?" The insectoid alien clicked through its translator. "Perhaps you think you could do better with your primitive weapons?" Before she could respond, Emperor Zoltek had approached them. An amusing thought. "Tell me, human soldier, what is your best accuracy with your... what do you call them? Firearms?" Sarah straightened to attention. 99.4% accuracy over 500 rounds at varied distances, Your Majesty. Standard Earth Defense Force qualification. The silence that followed was broken by what she could only describe as alien laughter. The Emperor's whole body shook with mirth, and other competitors began joining in with their species' equivalent of amusement. 99.4%, Zoltek repeated when he finally controlled himself. Over 500 rounds, how ... adorable, and what distance would this remarkable achievement have been at? 50 meters? 100? Distances varied from 25 meters to 2 kilometers, sir. This time the laughter was even louder. 2 kilometers. With primitive chemical propulsion weapons. Oh, this is delicious. And you believe this translates to real marksmanship? Sarah felt heat rising in her cheeks but kept her voice level. I believe skill is skill, regardless of the tool used. Skill? Zoltek's eyes seemed to sparkle with malicious joy. Very well, little human. I shall make you an offer. Tomorrow, during the opening ceremonies, you may attempt our firing range. Use our weapons. Of course, your primitive tools would be useless here. If you can achieve even 50% of our current record, let's say 48% accuracy over 1,000 shots, I will personally apologize to your entire delegation and grant Earth a permanent seat on the Galactic Council. Murmurs rippled through the assembled aliens. Such an offer was unprecedented, and clearly the Emperor expected it to be a source of great entertainment. And if I achieve the full record? Sarah asked quietly. The Emperor's laughter boomed again. Impossible. But if somehow you manage such a miraculous feat, I would grant humanity full membership in the Galactic Military Alliance and provide your world with defensive technology worth more than your planet's entire economy. Ambassador. Morrison stepped forward quickly. Your Majesty, while we appreciate the generous offer, perhaps we should discuss— I accept, Sarah interrupted. Ignoring her superior's sharp look, the Emperor clapped his four hands together in delight. Wonderful! This will be most entertaining. The opening ceremonies will include this ... demonstration. I'm sure all the attendees will enjoy watching humanity learn about their true place in the galaxy. As they were escorted back to their quarters, Ambassador Morrison pulled Sarah aside. Lieutenant, what have you done? This isn't just about you, this is about Earth's entire future relationship with the galaxy. If you fail spectacularly, which seems likely given their technology advantage, it could set back human-alien relations by decades. Sarah nodded, understanding the weight of her decision. I know, sir. But did you see them out there? The arena was packed beyond capacity. What had started as a simple demonstration for the opening ceremonies had become the most anticipated event in Unity Games history. Representatives from every major galactic civilization had gathered to witness what they expected to be humanity's humiliating defeat. Sarah stood at the edge of the firing range, trying to ignore the cacophony of alien voices discussing her impending failure. Translator devices created a constant buzz of conversation in hundreds of languages, but the meaning was universal: amusement, anticipation, and absolute certainty that the human was about to learn a painful lesson about her species' limitations. Emperor Zolthek had spared no effort in making this a spectacle. Massive holographic displays showed real-time statistics, betting odds, and comparisons between human and alien physiology. The commentary was provided by Veltari, sports analysts who seemed to take particular pleasure in explaining exactly why human reflexes, vision, and cognitive processing were inadequate for this level of competition. The human nervous system, one analyst was explaining to the crowd, operates at roughly 1/10 the efficiency of most spacefaring species. Their visual acuity is limited to a narrow spectrum, and their reaction times are embarrassingly slow by galactic standards. Sarah tuned out the commentary and focused on the weapon she'd been given. It was a standard Garanthi energy rifle, the same type used by Champion Morgoth. The weapon was massive in her hands, clearly designed for beings twice her size and strength. The power cell alone weighed more than some human rifles in their entirety. Dr. Wong approached her with a portable scanner. I've been analyzing the energy discharge patterns all morning, she whispered. The beam has a slight delay between trigger pull and actual firing, about 4 milliseconds. The energy builds up in the chamber before release. 4 milliseconds, Sarah repeated, filing the information away. In conventional firearms, the delay between trigger pull and bullet leaving the barrel was nearly instantaneous. This delay would require adjustment in her timing. Ambassador Morrison looked pale as he joined them. Sarah, it's not too late to withdraw. The Emperor has been gracious enough to suggest that admitting human limitations would be seen as wisdom rather than cowardice. With respect? Sir, that's exactly why I can't withdraw, Sarah replied, checking the weapon's weight distribution. They expect us to back down? They expect us to know our place? But what if our place isn't where they think it is? The weapon felt unwieldy at first, but Sarah had trained with equipment far heavier than standard issue. During her time in the Defense Force, She'd qualified on everything from antique bolt-action rifles to the latest plasma-assisted projectile weapons. Adaptation was a core human skill that the aliens seemed to underestimate. Emperor Zolthek's voice boomed across the arena as he addressed the crowd. Citizens of the galaxy, today we witness an amusing demonstration of human ambition. This primitive species, barely capable of interplanetary travel, believes it can match the precision of our greatest champions. The crowd's response was a mixture of laughter and cheering. Sarah noticed that even the alien children present seemed to find the situation hilarious. She wondered if any of them had ever been underestimated in their lives, if any of them understood what it meant to prove yourself against impossible odds. The challenge is simple, Zolthek continued. 1,000 shots at maximum range targets. The current galactic record stands at 97% accuracy, held by Champion Morgoth of the Garanthi Empire. Our human contestant needs merely 48% to earn my apology and a seat on the Galactic Council for her species. More laughter rippled through the crowd. 48% was being presented as a generous handicap, but Sarah had studied the target specifications. Maximum range meant targets at 15 kilometers distance, appearing randomly for only seconds at a time. Even with advanced targeting computers, it was an extraordinary challenge. However, the Emperor's voice took on an even more amused tone. Should she somehow achieve the impossible and match Champion Morgoth's record, humanity will be granted full military alliance status and receive defensive technologies worth more than their entire planetary economy. The betting displays updated constantly, showing odds of approximately 50,000 to 1 against Sarah achieving the full record. Even the modest 48% goal was rated at nearly 1,000 to 1 against Champion. Morgoth himself approached the firing line, his massive form moving with surprising grace for something resembling a giant turtle with arms. Little human, he rumbled through his translator, I bear you no ill will. My record has stood for 57 years because it represents the absolute limit of what flesh and technology can achieve together. Do not be ashamed when you fail. Thank you for the advice, Sarah replied politely. Though she noticed the champion's grip on his own weapon relied heavily on mechanical stabilizers and automated targeting assistance, the range master, a tall, thin alien with crystalline features, began explaining the rules. Targets will appear at random intervals between 5 and 30 seconds. Each target will remain visible for exactly 3 seconds before disappearing. Misses and failures to fire within the time limit both count as failures. The weapon will track all shots automatically, and results will be displayed in real time. Sarah nodded, settling into a modified prone position that accommodated the weapon's unusual weight distribution. Around her, the arena fell into expectant silence. Even the background hum of alien conversations died away as thousands of beings focused their attention on the human at the firing line. The first target appeared as a point of light against the distant backdrop, barely visible even with the weapon's enhanced scope. Sarah felt the familiar calm settle over her as her training took control. Breathe in, breathe out, find the natural pause between heartbeats. Squeeze the trigger smoothly, the energy bolt discharged with a sharp crack, and 4 milliseconds later the target flared and disappeared. The arena's sensors confirmed a direct hit, and a small cheer went up from the human delegation. The crowd's response was more subdued. One hit proved nothing. The second target appeared 18 seconds later, slightly to the left and at a different distance. Another hit, then a third. By the 10th target, a subtle shift in the crowd's mood became apparent. The casual laughter had died away, replaced by focused attention. Sarah fell into the rhythm that had served her throughout her career. Each shot became part of a meditation, a conversation between her mind, her body, and the weapon. She began to understand the energy rifle's personality, its slight tendency to pull left when the power cell was full. The way the beam characteristics changed as the weapon heated up, the optimal timing for the trigger pull that would synchronize perfectly with the energy discharge. Target 50. Hit. Target 100. Hit. Target 150. Hit. The arena had gone completely silent except for the sharp crack of energy discharges and the confirmatory chimes of successful hits. The real-time accuracy display showed 99%, with only 3 misses so far. The betting pools had stopped taking wagers, and the sports commentators had fallen speechless. "Impossible," she heard Champion Morgoth mutter. "The targeting computer must be malfunctioning." But there was no malfunction. Sarah was operating at a level that the aliens had never witnessed because they'd never seen. Someone combined advanced technology with fundamental human skills. Where they relied on computers to calculate windage, bullet drop, and timing, Sarah felt these factors instinctively. Where they waited for their automated systems to acquire and track targets, Sarah's enhanced human reflexes let her acquire and engage faster than any computer. Target 300 arrived as 2 simultaneous points of light at different ranges. The weapon wasn't designed for rapid sequential shots, but Sarah had noticed that the power cell could be partially discharged without fully cycling the energy chamber. She fired, shifted aim, and fired again within the 3-second window. Both targets flared and disappeared. Now the crowd was murmuring in languages she didn't recognize, but the tone was universal, disbelief tinged with growing respect. Emperor Zalthek had stopped making amusing comments, and was studying the displays with what she assumed was concentration. Target 500, hit. Target 600, hit. Sarah's accuracy held steady at 98.7%. She was not only approaching the galactic record, she was exceeding it. "The weapon's targeting system," Dr. Wong whispered during a brief pause between targets. "You're barely using it." Sarah nodded slightly, not wanting to break her concentration. She discovered early on that the automated targeting system was actually hindering her performance. It was designed for alien physiology and reaction times, introducing delays and corrections that interfered with her natural shooting rhythm. So she quietly disabled most of the automated functions and was relying on the basic optical scope and her own skills. This was apparently unprecedented. As word spread through the crowd that the human was succeeding through skill rather than technology, the alien's attitude shifted from amusement to genuine fascination. Representatives from military organizations began taking detailed notes, and she could see heated discussions breaking out among what she assumed were weapons designers and tactical